what's more dangerous? Is it a government with too much power, or is it a government that's too weak to use the power? Well, in Federalist number 41, we're back with James Madison, and he begins his examination of the federal government's powers, arguing that the true danger to liberty isn't strength, it's the unchecked fear of strength itself. I'm Matt Hasquin. I'm a high school history teacher, and I also teach civics. And we're going through the Federalist Papers, all 85 of them, one at a time, in order. We're back with our friend James Madison, and here's number 41. So we're still in 1788, and the Anti-Federalists were warning that the new Constitution gave Congress powers that would destroy the states. The power to tax, the power to raise armies, and to provide for the general welfare. That's in the preamble. Madison is going to respond with a calming degree of logic. It's basically, power is only as dangerous as the purpose behind it. And Madison's going to insist that the Constitution doesn't create arbitrary authority. It instead defines power by necessity and limits power by design. So here we go. His central thesis, his core argument here in this particular essay it's pretty simple. It is a profound to a degree. And he writes, it cannot have escaped notice that the general welfare has been the subject of misconstruction and cavil. Now, he's arguing that providing for the general welfare doesn't mean unlimited spending. It means giving Congress the tools needed to perform its specific enumerated duties. And those are found in Article 1, Section 8. So the Constitution doesn't grant blank checks. Instead, it grants instruments of protection. Now, Madison looks at the structure of power that the Constitution provides, and he divides the federal authority into 6 distinct categories. The first one is the security against foreign threats. And then we have the regulation of commerce and relations with other nations, so trade. And then maintenance of harmony among the states, how the states get along. Then there's certain cases of public justice. Then the promotion of the general welfare. And then finally, the preservation of liberty itself. And each of those 6 things, according to Madison, well, they exist to protect the whole Union, not to dominate the Union. So Madison begins with national defense. He says this is the most indispensable of all powers. Under the Articles of Confederation, America could not raise troops or money effectively, and this left the country vulnerable. And Madison will remind the readers of the essay that liberty doesn't survive without security. And he'll go on to write that a standing force, therefore, must be provided for emergencies, though the danger of its misuse must be guarded against by dependence on the people. So strength and restraint must coexist. Now, when it comes to the general welfare clause of the preamble, well, the critics feared that the phrase "to provide for the general welfare" would allow Congress to basically do anything. And Madison, refutes that point by pointing to context. And he says the clause is immediately followed by a list of specific powers. So we go from the promote the general welfare in the preamble, and we go into Article 1, where this is an introduction. It's not an expansion of powers. And so he writes again, had no subsequent enumeration been made, the whole would have been indefinite and dangerous. So in short, the framers didn't want to write a black check. Instead, they just wrote the whole budget. And so Madison then draws the crucial distinction that runs through all the Federalist Papers. This is you can find this in every single one of them. And it is, power is not tyranny. Abuse of power is tyranny. So he goes on to write, it is an absurdity to suppose that a government without the means of executing its powers can preserve its existence. So without power, law is just advice. But power without accountability is despotism. The Constitution, according to Madison, finds that middle ground, the Goldilocks zone. So Madison's moral argument is that fear, when left unchecked, becomes self-destructive. This is distrusting the government so completely that it can't function is just another form of surrender. It's a surrender to chaos instead of tyranny. And Madison will urge readers to judge the Constitution not by what it could abuse, but instead by what it must accomplish. So, every legitimate government, according to Madison, in his argument, it must have the means to achieve its ends. So the federal powers may seem broad, but each is tied to a specific purpose. If Congress ever stretches those powers beyond their purpose, the people themselves, through elections and the courts, can pull it back. And this is the Constitution's self-correcting nature. Now, Madison's chain of reasoning, the summary for all you kids do in your high school or your homework assignments, the logic that Madison brings forward here is that, one, power is necessary to achieve the ends of government. So then the Constitution limits power by purpose and accountability. And so then the General Welfare Clause does not create unlimited authority. Strength without abuse is the true safeguard of liberty. And then finally, fear of power can destroy freedom as surely tyranny itself. There's number 41 in those 5 easy steps. Now, Madison's tone it's patient. It's almost professional in his writing here because he's not addressing passion, but instead it's reason. He's inviting readers to think and not react. And so his calm precision is itself an argument. Democracy survives only where fear gives way to understanding. Madison's argument still continues to echo through the years and into today whenever we have a debate about government power, from taxation to national defense to federal spending. And Madison's principle remains clear. Power is justified by necessity, it's measured by purpose, and it's restrained by consent. Now, our takeaways from this particular essay are, 1, power is not the enemy, abuse is. And then 2, the General Welfare Clause is limited by the specific duties that follow it. And then finally, 3rd is that strength, when tied to accountability, sustains liberty. So, Federalist number 41 is Madison's meditation on power with purpose. And he's teaching that freedom without capacity is fragility, and that a republic's first duty is to make liberty secure. The framers didn't fear power. They defined it. And in that definition, they found the balance between authority and freedom. Matt Hasquin, and these are things that we should all know just by being alive. Now, if this particular episode and this essay helped you see how Madison grounded liberty in reason, take some time and share it, please, or follow along and join me, because then looks like tomorrow I'll probably get to Federalist number 42. And in this one, this is where Madison explores the remaining powers of Congress and how they bind the states into a single nation without erasing the independent nature of the states. Thanks for hanging out, and I'm glad you got this far. We'll see you on the next one.